Pardesi Beats.
What's up, everybody? You're tuned into Pardesi Beats Unplugged. Welcome into episode number 10. In today's episode, we're bringing in one of our most favorite and highly requested show formats. Today, we'll be doing another draft. And with Father's Day right around the corner, we thought, why not do a draft about fathers? And particularly, what we'll be drafting today is the greatest television fathers. So we'll get into that a little bit about the rules and whatnot. But before we do, I am your reigning and defending Pardesi Beats Unplugged Draft Champion, Amitabh. With me today, we have Khushwant Singh and the one and only Batwan Singh. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good. What's up with you?
Living the dream. So, I guess paternal figures or father figures in television, or even just parents in television shows. Growing up, I think they played a big role, and they still do in kids, raising them, teaching them morals, and influencing what their outlook on life is.
Yeah.
Parents in TV, paternal figures in TV, with Father's Day around the corner, I thought it was a very natural kind of progression to just do a draft on this. There's so many
Agreed.
So many fathers, so many characters that play that paternal figure. Not only fathers, but uncles or even aunts that fill that role. So
Or grandpas.
yeah, it's definitely important that we touch base on them. And I think like last time with our jersey draft, there'll be a lot of banter, a lot of shock, a lot of interesting things. So
Yeah.
Yes.
we were talking a little bit offline, but I think one of the figures that really stood out for me as a young buck was Uncle Phil. I think
hands down. Same.
Yeah, and Cushy, same thing. We both had the same idea. We're like, he's kind of like the gold standard of what a paternal
And even when I was
figure-
walking up the stairs to come into the office here, I told my wife, I was like, that's what we're doing. She's like, oh, it's Philip Banks. And I was like, I know.
So
It's
that's
like everyone knows. Like,
yeah.
Uncle Phil's number one. Like, it's
Uncle Phil's number
undisputed.
one. I guess we'll just not choose Uncle Phil because we all already agree.
I don't know. I think throw Uncle
Should we
Phil
leave
in
him
the
in there?
draft. Whoever I've randomized the order, and I won't tell you
Oh,
until we
shit.
get
You're
into
going to
the
allow
draft.
him to be picked. Okay.
I think it's only if Connor McDavid's in the draft, you get to pick Connor McDavid, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Okay, well,
only
we'll
fair.
see who ends up with Uncle Phil.
We'll see who I think.
Oh, but
that's-
you know what? Just so you know, Uncle Phil was also Shredder.
yeah, that is true. That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
And
James
so
Avery.
we'll focus on that.
Like animated Shredder or
The voice
Okay,
of Shredder.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, these a lot of these actors, yeah.
Now you'll get it. What were
And
you saying,
I
Pollock?
think so in terms of defining what a paternal figure is for the draft, we're keeping it a little bit more open. So like Uncle Phil, he did have his kids, but he also, a lot of his teachings were to his nephew, or
Yeah.
like Pat talked about, a grandpa who would fill in as that paternal figure. I think we're gonna touch base on all of them and leave it a little bit more open. And we'll get into this a little bit. I guess I'll just jump into the rules quickly here. Similar to our previous draft, we have a couple of guidelines to follow by. So we'll do a quick 5-round draft. So with the 4 rounds, you pick a father character or a paternal figure character. And then for the 5th round, I think this is really important because not everybody has that stereotypical mother-father family or single father or single mother family. And there's been a lot of characters, and I want to be very inclusive, and we want to be very inclusive on Pardesi Beats Unplugged. So with our
there's
5th
also,
round,
they could have families with 2 fathers, or
exactly,
it could
definitely.
be no fathers, right? So there's so much diversity out there. So this is not to exclude anyone, but kind of stick with sort of a generalized TV theme, but so it doesn't have to be dads per se.
Yeah, definitely. So
any sort of
kind
figure
of
that
the
fulfills that
parent,
role.
the parent or guardian figure. And I think
Yeah.
for the last round, we have to pick somebody from that other category. So We could
Yeah.
pick a father, but we're trying to reach out and see somebody else that you would put in that role, be it an aunt, be it an uncle, be it a gender neutral individual,
Yeah.
whatever you want to put there. And I think that's cool. And also, one of the picks has to be an animated character, which opens the door to a lot of other characters.
Mhm.
And we can kind of justify why and why not we were picking certain people.
Of course.
Any questions or anything you want to touch on before we jump into the draft?
Yeah. When do we
Yeah.
start?
So if the famous Vine kid that says "You're not my dad," if that qualifies to the guy we're thinking about, then that's probably not the dad or father figure.
Yeah, Kush definitely taught me a new meme today. So
There's more he says after that, but we'll leave that.
I'm just gonna do the Skeletor or what?
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 Yeah.
All right. So the draft order for this, again, we'll be doing that snake draft. So 1 to 3, then 3 to 1. First overall pick is Kushwant Singh.
Oh.
Boom, baby.
And number 2 is myself, and number 3, Patwant Singh.
So rigged,
you get-
man.
But you get
You
the
get
double
2
pick.
picks in a row.
You got the double pick, though, right?
Sure, I'll
It's kind
take it.
of a-
Let's go.
I feel like no one's gonna pick my picks because like I don't have that many like that pop to mind.
Is it
outside
Master
of-
Roshi?
No, he's not a father figure. He's just something completely amazing and different. But there might be somebody from that TV show that I might be thinking about who would fit the bill. But then also like outside of Uncle Phil, I was like having a hard time. There was one other like sitcom old school kind of show
Yeah.
of a father I thought about, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll throw this guy's name in there potentially. So we'll see. There's a lot of pressure now because I'm first.
Yeah, your first overall
And,
pick.
Yeah, like the obvious pick is Uncle Phil. It really is. But and then these are getting voted on, so I should be smart and choose that. And then we're doing four father figures.
And it has
right?
to, one little thing, one little asterisk. It has to be from sort of the North American spectrum of television shows. Okay.
I mean, no, I don't think so. I think leave it
anime
open to
is like
whatever.
Japanese based,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. What I mean is it can't be like Bollywood serials from India.
I mean, it could technically, but I don't think any of us are gonna pick anybody
Yeah.
from that world.
It could be anything. In the eye
sure,
of the
sure.
beholder.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
All right,
That's
Kushi.
still
First-
pop culture though. Anime is still pop
Yeah,
culture.
I'll just take
Yeah.
the Uncle Phil for number one. Like how
Uncle
can you
Phil.
not?
Yeah. and
Uncle
like we talked
Phil
about.
from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's Will's dad, kind of acting dad throughout the whole show. Will doesn't have a dad that's there to support him. There is a couple episodes where his father figure does show up in the show and ditches
One
him again.
Yeah.
One episode rather, and then he kind of like
Now-
runs Phil
and-
over and then
yeah.
ditches
Probably the
him,
most
and then-
epic episode of the whole
That was
series.
definitely
Definitely the
memorable
most
scene.
emotional.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers that. Everyone all the cast talks about it. All the people who were there
Yeah.
afterwards. That hug was like a real hug. It was not like some scripted stuff. It was like some real emotion being put out there because that was Will Smith's actual reality, in his real life. So,
And
yeah.
James Avery, like the actor who
Yeah.
plays Uncle Phil, that was more closer to his personal, like the way he actually is.
yeah, true
character.
to,
Yeah,
true to life,
and-
right?
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
talking about the Fresh Prince reunion, they really talked about how James Avery behind the scenes was also a father figure for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think Uncle Phil is consensus
Yeah.
number one pick. So
And then, like, if you haven't watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ever, like, if there's like a younger audience or whatever, like, I think it's like an absolute must. You have to see
It's
that
on
show
Crave right
at
now.
least
Go
once in your
watch it.
lifetime,
Yeah.
because like you'll understand, like, like a lot of things about the show is like, it's really just relatable about your life growing up, right?
It transcends generations too. It's
Yeah,
not just
it's
based off of
just
the
it's such a
90s.
life experience, and then that wisdom that gets imparted, like via Uncle Phil or James Avery, like the actor, like it's
just an epic show. Like,
It's
you
on
gotta-
point, and it's
yeah.
so like real and it's genuine, right?
It's one of those shows that I'm not kidding you. Like, it's playing every day downstairs on my TV.
yeah,
And
the topics are still very relevant to.
And my
reality.
almost 6-month-old son every time the intro comes on, he's just like every single time, and he knows that theme song. So yeah, no, he doesn't even do that, Kush. He goes straight like
No, that's what I do. That's what
you do right now. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right. So
But
first overall pick, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. And then with my first overall pick, I'm gonna kind of go in that same light. This character talked a lot about the similar issues that Uncle Phil touched on. So a lot of that, the sexism, racisms, like the stereotypes,
Social
a lot of heavy
justice.
things. Yeah,
things.
a lot of heavy topics were talked about in this show as well. And it actually started a little bit before Fresh Prince and ran a little bit longer than Fresh Prince. I will be taking with my first overall pick from Family Matters.
I knew it.
Carl Winslow.
I knew it.
He's a like, if we look at Uncle Phil, Carl Winslow is kind of like the alternate universe. Like they both talked about those really
It's
heavy
like
topics.
Simpsons and Family Guy kind of like thing.
And Will Smith would often joke, and he was like, "Oh, was that Carl Winslow over there?" But yeah.
Definitely a very underrated show. It's interesting that like it's not on any like streaming platforms or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Does our non-real life, like our animated pick, is it a different category? Can it be like now too?
You can do it whenever.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah. The only pick that is stuck at number 5 is the other category. So
okay.
Yeah. So we'll all pick that.
Or if you want, like, just do it before. I don't even think that's a big deal as long as it's hit.
Well, I mean, that's you can have 2 or 3, right, or whatever. Yeah.
Animated you can have however many, right?
Animated is only 1.
No, animated you can have at least 1 has to be.
Okay.
So you can have more than 1.
Okay, continue.
It's your turn.
Carl Winslow. I was, when we were talking in our group, we were talking about Uncle Phil, and we're like, everybody's gonna pick him, and it was immediately in my head. I was like,
I feel like if Simran was here, he would have made some other hipster pick that none of us would know.
No, of course, but at the same time, you have to also think that Carl Winslow was the first one that came to my mind after Uncle Phil, and with that being said, it tells you something about our identity, which we've talked about in so many episodes, and the identity that was portrayed by these cultures, from the Black African-American perspective via Uncle Phil or Carl Winslow, the character Carl Winslow from Family Matters. And I think the relatability was with, I guess you can say, a ethnic minority being the main characters.
Yeah.
And a lot of the sort of tribulations that the Black community faced, we also as a Punjabi community or brown community, whatever wording you want to use, also faced. And so it was so much more relatable because of that. And
I never thought about it from that perspective, but
that's like, always what I'm like, yo, I totally get this. Like all the racial discussions and topics, like going back to Fresh Prince, when Carlton picks up the gun, which was probably the second most epic episode in my opinion. And the discussions that followed from Will Smith and from James Avery, while their characters were very relatable in certain things I was seeing in the Punjabi community as well. Not necessarily the gun aspect, but the reasons behind it.
Yeah.
And there's another one where Carlton's like, well, I can't be Black because I'm like this and this, and that's so true in our Punjabi and broader.
It goes like, and that's what I loved about these shows. They talked about the racial injustices that they were facing in the bigger picture, but also internally within their own community too. So I think those shows and those sitcoms,
and we kind of touched on that in Bugs and Drugs in both parts so far.
All right, Pat, you're up with your first round pick.
I'm just gonna pick my top guy off the top because
Splinter.
Yeah, it is Master Splinter. That's why I wore this color today. I actually wore this color in ode to Master Splinter. It is Master Splinter.
Yeah, and like we talked about, I'm thinking, I'm like, is he really a father figure? But like you talked about, he's the paternal figure of the Ninja Turtles.
He's the Punjabi dad to the 4 teenage Punjabi Ninja Turtle kids, and he does exactly what my dad used to do to me, like, get up and do this, and they're like, but I want to eat pizza and watch TV.
Hey, let me do the pizza voice, the Ninja Turtle pizza voice. When they're like small, but that's do the little previews. Yeah, it is from the movie, but I'm gonna do it anyways for the listeners.
Okay.
Pizza, pizza, pizza.
We're gonna use that's our promo right there.
Yeah, just repeat that on loop.
For real, it's got to be this guy's dad. I mean, Master Splinter is the one who raised the 4 Ninja Turtles, and he encompasses a lot of values that I feel like I grew up with, and also he's just there whenever the turtles actually need him. He's there, and everything the Ninja Turtles are like. There's a lot of values. If you and I'm watching the original series cartoons right now with my son, just in the background. I don't know why, just because when I feed him milk, it's like I get to watch it. It's kind of cool. But like there's a lot of values they talk about that you don't always sort of realize that's coming up in a cartoon. So those 80s and 90s cartoons did instill a lot of values that are sort of the typical values that you can go into. But okay, so my pick is Master Splinter. I think
you got the next you got the next pick as well, so we're going back upwards.
Pick.
Oh man, okay, so this one is one of my favorite TV dads, and I don't know if a lot of people know, but there's another one that I'm going to pick later that a lot of people might not know. This one is going to be Red Foreman.
Very nice.
Oh,
he was
Red Foreman.
He was on my list too.
Okay,
Red Foreman from the 70s.
I actually forgot about him until you said that.
They're just awesome dad, man. Just straight
he's
up.
He's a pretty iconic dad.
Yeah. Red Foreman.
He really is.
Yeah. And so he's my second pick, Red Foreman from the 70s show.
Beautiful.
So why did you? I'm just curious a little bit of why.
At the same time that I kind of grew up with those Splinter values in my own family type of thing, or in our I guess our general culture, they're also there. But Red Foreman is my and it comes back to our identities. It's my redneck Albertan identity relating so much to Red Foreman, right? And I get it. He's like, shut up. And he's like, what are you kids doing? But then sometimes after coaxing from his wife,
he comes
around
side,
and he's there for you. And he's that dad, right? So he has a different style and different approach, very sort of rough around the edges, but hey, man.
Yeah. All right. With my next pick, I'm going to go a little bit off the board. I might be picking this person a little bit early, but I'm going to be taking actually, when I started thinking about this character, I originally thought he didn't necessarily have kids of his own, but then I'm like, wait, later seasons, he did have twins of his own. But he also was a huge part of helping with the single father raising the daughters.
You took
from
his name already.
Full House.
Mr. Jesse.
Uncle Jesse from Full House is my pick. And
I
think I really like his character because it in the first seasons, he's not very fond of the girls, and he learns to grow, and then he becomes that figure for them, and then he has his own kids.
Them after that. Yeah.
Then he has his own kids. So I think Uncle Jesse is my second pick here.
Solid pick, and seeing the growth that Uncle Jesse has as a character, overall in multi aspects, especially with the kids though being a paternal or father figure, he was on my list too, and for the same reasons, because you see that growth, which often is overlooked when you see these TV dads presented to you.
It's like the one-dimensional characters, but these
they're already in that role. You don't often see any that grow into it and then are still loved throughout that growth process. And I think the first Uncle Jesse is definitely one of the ones that comes to mind for me for that.
All right, Kush, you're up.
Okay.
You're up for 2.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do the one that's like my actual number one. Because if we're not considering Uncle Phil, but the one I wanted, like, this is like in my heart kind of thing. Okay, this is from Dragon Ball Z, and it's not he's not even a human, but I'm choosing Piccolo. I'm choosing Piccolo as the best dad.
I'm gonna have to default to you here, Pat, because I've never watched Dragon Ball Z. Confessions.
Okay, so neither of you guys know who Piccolo is.
We don't know, but I guess.
Okay, I have to explain a little bit.
You have to explain, yeah.
Okay, so the main character, I'm sure you guys have heard the name
I know
Goku.
Yeah.
Goku's Gohan is Goku's son in Dragon Ball Z. Like, that's where their character arc kind of goes. And the thing is, like, Goku dies like right at the start, and then he goes off to like the heaven dimension or whatever, right? And so during that time, just right before the show starts and that happens, him and Piccolo had like this crazy fight, and Goku kind of kills like the evil Piccolo, and then like he kind of gets like reborn, and he's not as evil, but he's still like that same essence or that person. So anyway, right off the bat of the show, Goku's killed by Piccolo because Goku says, "Hey, Goku's brother comes from another planet. He's they're trying to raid the Earth, the Saiyans." And Goku gets a hold of his brother, and he says, "Piccolo, do it. You unleash your attack," and then Piccolo kills them both at the same time because the attack's so strong it pierces them. Anyway,
seems like such a nice guy.
Yeah. I mean, he probably took a little bit of joy of killing Goku at that time because he literally was just fresh off those evil vibes. But so like in that passing, Goku's like, "Take care of my son," right?
Whoa.
And this is where Gohan learns to fight, because this Dragon Ball Z in the Dragon Ball series is all about like getting strong and fighting and protecting Earth, and the universe or whatever. So then what happens is like Gohan he has no like martial arts training or wilderness training because his mom has like sheltered him into like being like a scholar, so she always put like those pressures on him. But they know like these other enemies are coming to Earth to like destroy it or take it over, so they have to start training and get ready for the fight because they got their butts kicked by this other guy who was the weaker one. And so this whole like thing is like where Piccolo, not even just through this little one arc, the whole show, he always has Gohan's back. He teaches him, he takes him out to the wilderness, he shows him how to live, he puts him in these tough scenarios like in life, like the reality, right? He doesn't really sugarcoat it. He kind of like puts him out there and sees like if he's going to survive or not. But like Gohan thinks like Piccolo's gone off and he's abandoned him, but really Piccolo's like up above in the sky, floating above, like kind of being like watching him, like, "Hey, is this guy okay?" So like you see like the character evolution of Piccolo like become like literally like an evil dude trying to kill like everyone and take over Earth, become like such a soft-hearted guy, and then also like adopt like pretty much being Gohan's father figure for the rest of the whole show. Like he has more loving and meaningful interactions with Gohan than Goku does, his actual dad in the show. And like when Gohan like saves Earth later down and like halfway through the show in the Cell Saga, Gohan doesn't wear his dad's like attire and like he's like, "Yo, yeah, I traded with my dad, I'm gonna wear his clothes." No, he wears Piccolo's clothes out of respect for like that mentorship and stuff. So anyways,
that's similar link to Splinter in a way.
Yeah, that's exactly like the mentorship. The mentorship
it
piece
is
is
a little
huge,
bit. Oh yeah, totally. Like, and then it's not even a bond of like a human and a human. It's like he's a Namekian, that's his race in the show. So, and then Gohan's a half sand, half human. So anyways,
that's like Yoda, man, but Yoda's not a TV show, so
yeah. So like really, really awesome figure, probably more of a dad than his actual biological dad. And that's my second pick.
Interesting pick.
Okay.
All right, you're up for another one too.
Third pick. Okay, I think I'll just choose. This one's weird because I want to choose like two people from the show, and I don't know why. I just remember the show a lot. So it's Home Improvement, and I don't know why my mind is going there, but it's not even like
Solid.
Tim Allen. It's almost Wilson. Because Wilson has provided like
Wilson
Tim
is that
Allen,
figure for Tim,
exactly, like that like sounding board to give him the advice to steer his family, to steer his kids, because Tim Allen does that, he provides that for the kids, but it's after chatting with Wilson, right?
Oh, he's like the father figure for the father figure,
and
exactly.
But even then, like, and I think Tim Taylor, like his role in that show was interesting too, because he had to face a lot of different things, but Wilson was like, without Wilson, that show and that father figure doesn't really exist. That's something that was on my list too. I'm like, does Wilson count? I don't know, but
I'm doing it. I don't care. Like, he counts to me because we're not doing like biological. We're just saying like father figures, right? And to me, like that's if you're gonna like, you're pretty much taking. He takes the time. He's spending the time on Tim Allen or even any of the other kids when they go talk to him too or whatever, right? Like he always is there for them and always like has like a voice to give them.
Even for Jill.
Yeah, like I said, like all the whole family, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'll do him as my third.
Okay.
Very nice pick. All right. I'm gonna dip into the animated section for my next pick. This character for me was my first experience of a single father in an animated series. And I think the writers of the show did such a great job because not only did they show his hardships of raising a child as a single father, but later on in the series, there's a movie that came out, and then that movie evolved back into that TV show where he got remarried. So there was a whole like a whole storyline of the father trying to reintroduce the new mother with the child. So I think like it was really deep for a cartoon. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So with my pick, I'm going to take an animated character. I'm taking Chaz Finster from the Rugrats. So that's the father of Chucky Finster.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't know who you were talking about until you just dropped his name.
Yeah.
Dang, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a deep.
But yeah, there is like when you think about it and break it down, it's like, yeah, that was like the scenario.
Yeah, and I remember very vividly in the show there was like a whole topic about like, well, this is your new mom, and there was a lot of like real emotions involved with Chucky dealing with that. So I think that was really cool to see in an animated show of all things.
Yeah, especially since like Chucky has like a lot of underlying like issues kind of he's dealing with that the show kind of like shades in.
Yeah.
So it's like obviously a tough relationship for him to try to foster, right, as a father.
Yeah.
Cool pick though, yeah.
All right, Pat, you are up for 2. So
man, 2.
I guess I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick 2 that are sort of arguably similar. Okay, arguably similar but different at the same time. Now I'm changing sort of the vibe, but these are still TV dads. Okay. So the first one I'm gonna pick here is Tony Soprano, because I still think he's a pretty crazy TV dad, man. So Tony Soprano, for obvious reasons, just such an epic TV dad. But there's moments where you see that warm fatherly figure about him, about him, whatever wording you want to use. And but then there's other times where you see him mentoring others. And those others often end up not on his good side, or they end up being not on his good side initially, and then he ends up mentoring them in different ways. So he's very multifaceted as a character, because he's pretty much an Italian gangster, right? And so Tony Soprano is the one that I'm picking right here.
Very nice. And then you have another one right up. So yeah, you already picked. I guess Master Splinter would be your animated pick. So
I might have a couple more animated ones, but anyways, I got a few.
This is your last father pick before your other category.
Wait, that can still be a father, right? No, has to be another.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, but the goal of that category was to be.
Then I'm gonna have to pick. Oh man, now I'm stuck between 2 people. You got me here, but all right, then I have to pick them. I have to pick Homer Simpson. I can't let Homer go. And it's just, somehow Homer manages to hold it together and keep things going. And his heart-to-hearts with Lisa, of all people. And, his moments where he, you see him as a dad dealing with his dad and then dealing with his family and kids. There's some real moments and lessons in that show as well. But Homer, I see in many different ways as he's crazy. He's doing so much different stuff, and he's got so much going on with him, but he's holding it all together, and he has for so many thousands of seasons. So, and
being a huge Simpsons fan, as you both know, Homer is an interesting character, because similar to, like, if we go back to our superhero discussion, the reason I like Spider-Man is because he's like an everyday, regular, run-of-the-mill guy.
Yeah,
Homer is very similar in that sense, because he struggles with a lot of things, and he is dumb and stupid at some points too. But then there's those real elements, like you talked about, his relationship with his mom. That's a very sore spot through even continuing seasons, and even in later seasons, like you talked about, his like heart-to-heart talks with everybody in the family.
Everybody, but yeah. So I remember the Lisa one. Because the funniest was when she was realizing that all the stupid genes are only going to the males. Yeah. And I just remember that for some reason. But
she tries to find like the females.
But at the end of the day, Homer is that average dad who, works in like Punjabis can relate. He works in like a factory type of thing. So he works in the power plant, goes and gets a butta after, goes and grabs a beer at Moe's, and then he goes home and watches TV and eats dinner. But at the same time,
The American
through all of
dream.
that, there's all this other wacky stuff going on. So I don't know. I couldn't let Homer not be in the list. He's just one of my favorite TV.
An iconic father.
Definitely iconic.
So similar to Kush's pick, I might go a little bit off the board. So if you guys don't want to count this pick, let me know. But with my, I think this is my last father pick. Yeah. Before we go into the other category, I will be taking a character from a television show who is the father of Kane and The Undertaker.
I knew it! I knew it, dude! I was thinking in my head. I was like, is he actually? I don't know how the hell I knew. But I'm gonna let you say it first before I.
So I will be taking from the world of, I guess, WWF when he was around. Paul Bearer, very interesting character, very interesting story arc, very iconic character. So the father of Kane, technically he's a father.
Wow.
So high pitched that your
Wow.
mic cut out.
Oh, did
It just started
I
clipping.
thought it was like background noise. Oh, yeah.
But so I'm taking Paul Bearer for just the memes, honestly. But he was a very interesting character.
Dude, he's like, if you look at
one of the
wrestling
most-
characters, he's
one of the most iconic managers.
iconic managers. But like, you know, with Undertaker and Kane, they're not really managers because those gimmicks are so crazy, anyways.
Yeah.
But I guess this is kind of a bit of foreshadowing for a later episode that we have planned. But yeah, I'm going to take Paul Bearer with that pick. I don't really have much to add to it. So, Kush, you're up for 2.
That's a good one, man. I don't know why I was thinking it. Like, literally right, like, just before. I'm like, I just felt like this guy's going to probably choose, like, Paul Bearer because I'm like, but I don't know if he considers wrestling a TV show, although it is, I guess.
It technically is.
It is, yeah.
Well, then we're a TV show too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't pick
watch us
yourself
on
up.
TV.
We're not on air yet. Now I want to choose wrestling world. Yeah, okay, I guess I'm.
See,
We
but
can do some
that's-
honorable mentions at the end. Okay, how's
Yeah,
that?
for that. So that the debate that I had, I'm like, what are the father figures though? Like Paul Bear's definitely one, but then I'm like, there wasn't necessarily that father son or father daughter.
There was one, Rock's dad.
But in storyline purposes, they weren't really like connected in any way.
Well, unless
right?
you go to the McMahons, right? And you know, that's I don't know if that's the example we're putting for best. You know,
What is best though? Best
parent
to
figure.
me, like entertaining or
Best to me means I'm gonna kick my daughter in the gut and pedigree her or something. You know what I mean? Like, give her the stunner.
Stephanie McMahon.
Or Stephanie kicking Vince in the balls. Like,
Yeah, like it's just
some crazy stuff. That was
That's,
your other option with wrestling. So it's like,
That's a
Yeah,
rich
it's-
family for a reason.
yeah, small pool to kind of take from, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so my fourth, like I said, I don't really have too much that comes to mind, so I'm going anime realm again, and you guys are not going to know who this is. Okay, this is from the show Naruto, and this is the main character Naruto, his father figure. Although he has a dad, and he comes in the show like spiritually, kind of, and then physically later on when the dead are reanimated. You guys don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But so that, like, even his dad's sensei, the one who taught his dad everything, that's Naruto's father figure, Jiraiya sensei. So I'll put it in there myself, Mal, because you probably don't even know what the hell that is. But so Jiraiya sensei is the one who teaches Naruto after Naruto kind of like gets his original like ninja martial arts kind of training, and he has a little bit of experience under his belt and has like some of his first tough fights. Jiraiya is the one who goes and teaches him actual like jutsus. That's what they're called, like the attacks they use in this show, like this the ninjas. And he takes Naruto by himself because Naruto has no one, like no family, right? Like his mom died when he was born. His dad died. His dad used to be like the one of the leaders of the villages or of the village that they stay in, so the fourth one. But he died as well. So like he didn't have anyone, and he didn't even know who his parents were actually. And in this show, like the special thing is like there's 9 beasts. Like, and if they were unleashed and somebody had all that power, they could like destroy everything. So one of those beasts are inside Naruto. He's like the host for it, and he doesn't realize till a bit later as well that he has that power. So Jiraiya, like on this whole time, he spends time in Naruto, but his goal is to train him because all these guys are after him, like the bad group in the show, because they know that he has that beast in him. So Jiraiya's point, like his kind of goal is to like train Naruto so he can defend himself. And on this kind of journey, when they're spending that one-on-one time of training and everything, Jiraiya is actually very, very mean to Naruto. And he's like, "I'm not your dad. Don't think this is like a playing session, right? Like, get serious and stuff, right?" Like he'll joke around, and he's very memey. He's called the pervy sage for a reason because he does a lot of funny pervert stuff, but he's very serious too when it comes to Naruto and his training. And he kind of like he guided him and mentored him to be like become like a great ninja essentially, but also when he knew Naruto, because like a lot of the show was very like it's very depressing, like it goes very deep into like emotions, which is why I think the show's so good, the anime. And like he knows Naruto's hurting, he knows he like misses like that he's like hates that he doesn't have a mom or a dad to go to. He knows that, and even if he says this stuff to him, and he knows like Naruto looks up to him that way anyways. So like the sad thing is like he kind of the thing is Jiraiya wrote a book, and the book is named after Naruto itself. So it's kind of ironic as the show goes on, like he took a lot of inspiration from Naruto as well, and that he loved this kid. Because he gets murdered by some guy, and he doesn't get to see Naruto like face to face or anything like that. There's no goodbye, right? It's just like he died, he got killed, and then Naruto's the one who actually like avenges him and beats the guy who kills him and saves like his town. But it's like, anyways, it's such a interesting story, a lot of funny stuff, but also like you can see like Jiraiya really cares for this guy, and Naruto grew so much under him, and like to become like this ultimate ninja. So a little bit of a story, you guys won't know it, but I'm trying to give you a bit of context.
Anime story time with Kush. That's what we'll call this episode.
Yeah.
All right, you're up again with your other pick. So this can be a mother figure, an aunt figure, a gender neutral individual that played that parental or guardian figure.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go with whatever comes to top of my head, and that's Marge Simpson. Like Pathwan said, like Homer kind of holds stuff together, but I think that's actually Marge. Homer's the one who causes a lot of stuff to go wrong. Really, he's like kind of like
Homer holds the town together. Okay.
Yeah, sure. But Marge is what really who holds that family together. She literally takes care of everything.
Yeah. And like,
you know what it is? Marge holds them together as a collective, but then Homer has to go in and do like individual little injections of his brilliant
he just creates problems, man.
That guy's the best though. I don't care.
Marge is a quintessential like mom.
Yes.
Yeah, Marge is pretty solid.
Holding that household together. Without her, that household would be in shambles.
Destroyed.
She's that typical stereotypical Punjabi, that cliche mom who has those two sisters that Homer doesn't like.
Yeah, that's true as well. But okay, she'll make every meal for you. She'll like do your laundry. She'll do everything for you clean. You know what I mean? Like it's like that like traditional mom does all that stuff. I'm not saying that's what moms are supposed to do or anything, but by any means. But like, like especially for like us, like as Punjabi folk, like that's definitely been my experience a bit, right? I know that's a little bit of a cultural thing in a sense. But
I mean, that's what we've experienced, but that's not what moms are limited to, of course.
That's what I mean, right? But she's kind of like that quintessential, like, oh, you want to look at a traditional mom? It's kind of like that
school type of mom, yeah.
Yeah, it's not modern.
Even then, there's a lot of layers to her character as well. Like if you look at like her background, there's anxiety that they talk about in some episodes.
Yeah.
There's like social issues and social conformity problems that she has. So I think that's a really cool character to bring up. Marge is definitely a big piece. for that other category.
Yeah, she like literally deals with every little
Yeah.
piece of the pie. You
Yeah.
know, like issues with Homer as well. You know, like it's like it shows you like the relationship isn't just based off like looks or something, right? Because like, you know, Homer's like this fat kind of blub in a sense, and then like if there's Marge, it shows you like, you know, there's like a lot of things that go into the communication, really like loving somebody, like those kind of layers are there as well, provided by her.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So for my other category, I'm debating between two characters right now. One is an animated character, and one is a one from a sitcom. But
When
I
in
think
doubt, always anime.
I'm gonna go with the safe pick and go with the sitcom pick because that character is a little bit more known. But definitely in our honorable mentions, I will mention this other character. So for my other character, I will be taking Aunt Viv, but the original Aunt Viv from seasons 1 to 3 from Fresh Prince. I think
That's the
and
Aunt Viv, man.
yeah, in those episodes there was a lot similar to what we talked about with Uncle Phil. She had her moments where she talked about those issues with the daughters, but also with Will and everybody like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Aunt Viv, that character, also dealt similar with Marge with a lot of her own issues as well. So I think as that maternal figure, Aunt Viv seasons 1 through 3 from Fresh Prince is going to be my pick.
The original Aunt Viv.
Yeah, you can't go wrong because the second version of Aunt Viv wasn't as powerful.
Yeah, it was more of, I feel like at then she turned into more of a complimentary character versus
Yeah.
the center.
Yeah, good pick.
Okay.
All right.
Pat,
You are up.
All right, so my I guess you can say whatever. I was trying to pick a female just for like I wanted to have a female character, but I really couldn't I couldn't pass this character up because he's such an epic character that's often forgotten because the time has passed since the show came out.
You're also gonna have to justify why you're putting him in the other category then.
Well, he's of course because he's not.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Because he's not even a family member, okay? To the people or the specific character, one or two main characters that he, I guess you can say, mentored almost fatherliness. So this character, similar to Wilson, was also the main character's neighbor. And he was also his teacher at school. And his name is Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. And I put him in other because he's a teacher. And I was thinking Aunt Viv as well, because she was also the boys' teacher, Carlton and Will's teacher. And that did cross my mind. But I was like, teachers often mentor students, but the way Mr. Feeney mentored, I forgot his name right now, but Boy Meets World character. I don't know why his name is right there, but Corey. And I think you said it, but he was also his neighbor, right? So Corey would often be out of school and he'd go to, and it'd be summertime, so he'd go to Mr. Feeney's house. Mr. Feeney, I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And Mr. Feeney would be there to guide him. So in a way, he was kind of like a grandpa age-wise, but yeah, like Mr. Feeney.
Yeah, that's my pick. Yeah, I guess he's kind of the
and he was stern. He was hard. He was that, like drill sergeant style teacher as well. But he was also very soft. So it was very, he was a very dynamic character that wasn't a direct parent, right?
All right, Kush, I'm giving you the last word on this. Are we going to count Mr. Feeney as his other pick?
I was thinking about bringing that up. It doesn't seem very other to me.
He was his neighbor. You picked Wilson in one of them.
Yeah, but that's a main pick. It doesn't matter. Sure, he justified it
because he's a teacher.
I'm okay with it.
So,
all right.
Often the reason I'm bringing him up is often with
it's a good pick.
He's a great pick. I admit I know that even though I picked him, but there's a thing here that isn't often talked about. Okay, and I'm going to bring it up real quick. A little serious, but it's very valid. Often there are families that have certain situations inside that aren't favorable to the children. And these children only have potentially their teachers or out of home care workers that they can look up to like parents. And, I've seen this happen with a lot of my friends. I've seen it in society. It is a very real thing that kids spend almost their whole day at school, right? Their whole daytime of the day at school whether it's online, whether it's in person, and most of the year, 10 months out of the year. So these characters in the school can often be like parents. And so it's very hard when you think of schools to see a male figure that's often thought of. You usually think of teachers, especially in elementary, as female because they historically are mostly female. But those male teachers, I guess, for this Father's Day sort of tribute, sort of TV dads episode, I have
there's his
Mr. Feeney.
there's his justification, Kush. We were asking for it. I think that's probably the best way to put it. So I'll quickly review our picks. You can head over to our Twitter, twitter.com/Pardesi_Beats. Cast your vote. Voting will be live until the next episode. So Kush had the first overall pick. His picks were Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Wilson from Home Improvement, Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z, Sensei something or other from Naruto.
No, Jiraiya Sensei.
All right, Jiraiya
Not
Sensei
Jin-
from...
I like the name you put in Jarab while Sensei.
Yeah, all right, Jiraiya Sensei from Naruto. And then in your other category, Kush picked a Marge Simpson from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I had the second overall pick. I took Carl Winslow from Family Matters, Uncle Jesse from Full House, Paul Bearer from the WWE, Chaz Finster from the Rugrats, and with my other pick, I took the original Aunt Vivian from Fresh Prince season 1 through 3. Pat with a third overall pick took Homer Simpson from The Simpsons, Red Foreman from That 70s Show, Tony Soprano from The Sopranos, Master Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and in his other category, he took Principal, Mr. Feeney, from Boy Meets World. So you can head over to our Twitter, cast your vote, and we can see who is the next Pardesi Beats Unplugged draft champion. Just reading over that list, actually, it's interesting to see some of the names that aren't on that list. The one that came to my head. The one that came just right to my head. I have a couple of other honorable mentions, but Danny Tanner did not make the list.
And I was
at
thinking Danny Tanner as well, but he was just a dweeb, so I couldn't pick up.
I mean, Full House arguably is a very good show because it was kind of not the norm at the time, right?
Yeah.
It showed that single father, and
in that aspect for sure.
With daughters, right? We saw in Home Improvement, it was Tim Taylor with sons, so it wasn't as that bridge was there, but it wasn't like as difficult.
But they showed Jill a lot in Home Improvement. I think like more other shows, maybe the female characters weren't as prevalent. But Jill had like a pretty huge role.
Well, if you want to talk that show. Like just like a single father type of show, the 2.5 Men, right? But like there's certain shows where you'll see a little bit of each. But like Danny Tanner, I was thinking about him, but I was like, I'd rather like pick Uncle Jesse, but then he has
a little bit more. But I think another honorable mention for me, actually, I'll give a couple of honorable mentions here. Floyd Henderson from Smart Guy.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know that one either.
It was like a 2000 sitcom, but it was again single father. He had a very intelligent son, and then he had his really stupid son. So it was really interesting. It was a very interesting dynamic. You can catch it on Disney Plus now. But Floyd Henderson is one of my honorable mentions. Any honorable mentions for either of you?
Yeah, I got a lot. Should I go first, or you want to go first?
Jump in. I'm trying to remember. I had one more, but I can't remember. Oh, actually,
one for me, it's Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai as an honorable mention, and. You're muted.
Sorry, that's a new one, right? Cobra Kai.
It's a new one, but he's also not a new one. But
okay,
from Cobra Kai, I'm talking specifically of that storyline. So Johnny Lawrence, who is the now sensei of Cobra Kai at the beginning of that show, and I'll leave it at that, so there's no spoilers because it's a current sort of airing or release. Another one that I have is what's his name again? Oh yeah, Jim Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yeah. I thought about that one, but I went to kind of old schoolish.
And then you also have to go into Breaking Bad, and Same character there, the dad. So the main character, right? So
he also played a pretty sick role as a dad in Malcolm in the Middle as well.
yeah, he did. I was gonna go there. I was gonna say, so he played in Malcolm in the Middle too. So those are sort of my honorable mentions that I can think of off the top of my bat, off the top of the bat. I also have a bat somewhere here, Louisville Slugger, pink edition, framed. But I mean, depends on what you want to consider TV. Like I didn't realize we're going to the wrestling spectrum, but
it's
I'm gonna pick
TV.
Bret Hart's dad too.
Stu Hart.
Stu Hart. Yeah, I give a shout out to him. And yeah, man, I'll leave it there for now. There's so many.
I'm gonna throw two more honorable mentions here.
Sure.
One animated, so the one that I was talking about in my other
just
category.
scatter them in, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, just dump them in here.
Yeah.
Buster's mom from Arthur, Bitsy Baxter.
Oh yeah.
Quintessential single mom trying to teach Buster in a kid's show why his family is different than everybody else's. So that was the one that I was struggling between Aunt Viv and Bitsy Baxter. So that's one of my honorable mentions.
Because you're a bunny.
And the other one is the dad from a little bit of an older show. I'm not sure if either of you remember this from the show Different Strokes.
Oh yeah.
Philip Drummond. So he adopted. I'm sure Kush, you would know Gary Coleman's character. What are you talking about, Willis?
Oh, what you talking about, Willis? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that at that time of that show, that was pretty. That was
a groundbreaking sort of.
I never watched it. I just know.
Culturally, yeah.
Same thing. Like I didn't really watch it, but I know that character was pretty influential in kind of changing the barriers and figuring what a father can play in a sitcom. So those are my two honorable mentions. I have a really long list, but we'll skip it.
I got one more. I'll throw it in there. Ray Romano and
his mom.
What?
His mom, like part of the show.
She was amazing.
She's cool. Okay. Okay. 1 and 2 in the same kind of ish from the same show. Cersei Lannister. Because you can definitely question the methods, but there's an inspiration of why she does it all for her kids. So it's a little nutso, but she's maybe to those like one kid that's left by the end of it, like it's
don't ruin Game of Thrones for certain people. But I was actually gonna pick Tywin, but I didn't. But
Catelyn Stark's a more serious one. You could see that she dies for her kids and loved her family very much.
Well, so is Daenerys. She's a great mother.
Yes, of the dragons.
Yes.
But one of the other ones I was thinking about is this is very relevant now. The Mandalorian, man. Baby Yoda's daddy. This is the best. Like he has the greatest dynamic with Baby Yoda Grogu, and
I haven't seen this, by the way.
You haven't seen The Mandalorian?
No. Do you have Disney Plus?
No, but anyway, we can talk about methods on how to watch it after.
Okay, give me the files.
I don't have any files. I don't know what you're talking about. But okay, I can't even say what I want to say then because I don't want to. That show is so good. It's actually an amazing show. I'm not going to say anything, but those two dynamics is amazing. It's amazing what it starts up as and it becomes.
I was going to be like, I completely blocked Star Wars out of my head, but I forgot. Yeah, The Mandalorian. But there was also a TV show.
And I had it on my list. So there's actually a Lion King show for a while too. So I could have technically picked Mufasa, but
he wasn't alive in the show.
He was still a figure in the sky.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
That's
but I didn't want to. I ruffled enough feathers with pallbearer, so.
Yeah.
All right. So just a reminder: head over to our Twitter. You can vote for who you think has the greatest set of fathers for our Father's Day special episode. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Pardesi_Beats. The same thing on Twitter. Make sure you listen to us on the go. We're on all major platforms for podcasts. So make sure you download, give us a 5-star rating. We've hit 10 episodes. That's a pretty big milestone, boys.
It is. Also, shout out to Peter Griffin.
Yeah.